Well, it's not quite 5:45 p.m. In fact, it's 10 a.m. Welcome to a special live following morning edition of 5:45 Live as we catch you here right on BCTV Channel 10 in our normal rebroadcast slot. We're going live partly to get a glance at all that snow falling behind us from here in our rooftop studio setup. We'll also get you caught up on all the happenings from the week. You're taking a look at some 5:45 Live from this past week of activities going on, but let's let the graphics do the talking for themselves when it comes to what's coming up on deck tonight. We're going to start by talking about this select board race. Lots to talk about, lots of candidates, less seats than there are candidates. A gun rally, pro-gun rally up at the State House. And we'll talk about why court documents, access to court documents granted to the reformer could lead to some big news here in this town. All that and more. We do it in 15 minutes. Heck, I bet we can do it in a little bit less. All right, so stick with us right here on 5:45 Live.
Oh my God.
Nice.
Welcome back to this February 27th, 2012 edition of 5:45 Live. I'm Roland Boyd, and I'll be taking you through the next few minutes here into our BUHS TV programming. Now that happens at 10:15 a.m.s on weekdays, though actually it won't come up as directly following this show as they take a well-deserved day off on Wednesdays, but we'll get you all the latest government and educational programming right here on BCTV Channel 10. That's footage of the annual domino toppling event held at the Brattleboro Museum and Art Center, which will again kick off this weekend. Get to take a look at one of thousands and thousands of dominoes elaborately stacked that will get tripped and sent racing around the room. More can be found by looking up the Brattleboro Museum on Facebook, where they've got an extensive calendar. All right, and with that, we'll jump into the newsroom and talk about that reformer court document access story I was mentioning here. Now, the vague threat against school-aged children that led to increased police presence at schools across the Wyndham Southeast Supervisory Union this month may not be vague that much longer, something that the Brattleboro Reformer hopes will ease the strain on parents of area students who received alarming robocalls from principals in the district, saying only that a threat had been made, but not about what or by whom specifically, or what steps the police could undertake to mitigate the threat. But that could change as the Brattleboro Reformer's Bob Audette donned his lawyer cape, as it were, and successfully lobbied Vermont Superior Court Judge John Wesley to order the release of court documents surrounding the individual responsible for the threats. John McCulloch, representing the Mental Health Law Project, objected strongly to the potential precedent set, but he did have his request granted to delay the release pending an appeal, though the 30 days he cited was cut to 10 by Wesley, and McCulloch's request to have the documents redacted to protect the identity of the individual involved was also denied. Now, regarding the documents in question and their relation to the increased security measures, Judge Wesley was quoted in the Reformer article detailing its own adventures in court as saying, it will be interesting with retrospective inquiry whether anybody can actually find anything that draws the link. So there you go. Got a few more days to wait to see if that will in fact be appealed. If not, perhaps the Reformer will finally have some answers here on this school safety threat. In the quest for answers, my tireless senior news correspondent Ian Keel caught up with folks involved, including Barb Sondag, Brattleboro Town Manager, and WSESU Superintendent Ron Staley. Now, you can find the full video for those released on our Facebook page at brattleboro.tv.org, all one word. You can find all the posts that then link to that Facebook page. We'll talk a little bit more about our esteemed website and all the opportunities for watching and creating video there, but first, we'll jump back into the stories now. You saw on the coming up graphic, we'll talk briefly about a pro-gun rally held at the State House. Now, of course, gun laws have been put front and center following the recent violence in the media, and many are worried that their constitutional rights may be in violation. Others say that the Constitution plays a little role in the specificity of weapons involved, as one individual put it up on the Hill. Let's take a look at some of the footage courtesy of the Orca Media public access station in Montpelier. For that, we'll jump on over to our direct laptop feed here and see if we can take a look.
We are in a battle here, both in Vermont and as a nation. This is a fight we can win. It's a fight we will win. We have to stay focused and stay united.
All right, we'll get you more information as we can on that story, and we'll also get some more updates from Montpelier as well, courtesy of Wyndham District 4 Rep Mike Merwicki, who's posted a new episode of his show, Montpelier Connection, where he does live webcast interviews with other Wyndham County legislators from up in the State House. We'll get some more information on that in just a second as well. All right, but first, let's move on and talk a little bit about Town Meeting Day. BCTV will be sending 7 crews out into the surrounding towns this coming Tuesday, March 5th, to gather footage from every one of their town meetings, and we're going to just make sure that we get as much information about it as we can. Of course, with it just around the corner, select boards and school boards alike are going to have to defend their inflated budgets, with items like increased healthcare costs for employees and unfulfilled FEMA funding playing a hefty role across this region. In places like Townsend, where officials will have to sell a potential 14% tax increase. That's all after a year of massive cutbacks and suspended capital projects. Now, at a pre-town meeting gathering on Monday, the Townsend School District's board chair, April Chase, cited some of Townsend's financial culprits, including one faced by municipalities across the state, which is the drastic rise in individualized education programs for elementary-age students, or IEPs as they're known. Content specialist and BCTV field producer Rich Melanson was out in the field to gather this footage at their special town meeting. Pre-town meeting informational session. Let's take a look.
Another big part in this year's budget was the significant increases in special education. The number of IEP services that are being provided to students that are within our district are not something that we can necessarily control. So that was a very big component to the increase in this year's budget.
All right, speaking of government politics, we're talking about Select Board quite a lot here on BCTV, as much of our programming now is centered around the upcoming Brattleboro Select Board race. For that, why not jump into the stories here for a moment, and we'll take a look. With 3 incumbents announcing that they would not seek re-election, the race for Brattleboro Select Board looked like it might prove anticlimactic, but just days before the deadline, now 8 candidates have managed to glean the signatures necessary to throw their names into the hat, with Kate O'Connor and Spoon Agave facing off for one 3-year seat on the board, and John Allen, David Cadron, Ian Keel, Phil Kramer, Donna McComber, and David Schultz taking their stab at 2 available 1-year seats. Now, as I mentioned, a hefty dose of BCTV programming now centered around this, including the League of Women Voters Conversations with the Candidate Forum that was hosted this past Friday and is now available on our website and will show all this week. And the Brattleboro Citizens Breakfast produced by BCTV producer Catherine Turnus, which included a chance for each one of the candidates to present their arguments. And, of course, plenty of other programming surrounding that as well. And the most recent Select Board meetings, you can hear what's going on with the outgoing board as well. All this can be found at BrattleboroTV.org. And that'll give us a moment to shamelessly promote what's coming up here on BCTV as we talk about it with our graphics here, including the return of Landmark College Presents. This is stuff from Landmark College.
Scenes from movies. They're really, really appropriate for any teaching that involves kind of human relations or particularly emotions.
That's Fritz Engstrom from the Brattleboro Retreat, head of psychology. And then here's the Citizens Breakfast we were talking about with the Select Board candidates.
I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out and coming here, because this is where it all starts, right here, just like this.
There you go, hosted by Daryl Pillsbury. If you've got time Sunday afternoon at 3:30, check it out. Hear what those candidates have to say for themselves. All right, a few more things to jump into here as we wrap up this daytime edition of 545 Live. We'll just check in quickly with the weather, courtesy of Brattleboro Union High School, the Morning News Advisory program they put on there at the high school. And this is actually from yesterday, so they are talking about the weather, in fact, that we're seeing outside right now. But let's get the inside scoop from them.
Tomorrow will be interesting for people who like snow days. We have a high of 37 and a low of 32. It could get ugly. Drive carefully and hold on to something so you do not blow away. Woo.
There you go. Just a few more things to wrap up. I'll mention that we'll be back Friday with another special live broadcast, this time 2 clicks down the dial on our public channel, Channel 8, at 5:45 p.m., our regular slot. Of course, it will then be rebroadcast at this here 10 a.m. To 10:15 slot on BCTV Channel 10, as it does every single day of the week. All right, that's all I've got. I got to go back and get to my work day here. But I'll see y'all on Friday. Thanks to everybody that has helped put this show together, including content specialist Rich Mellinson with all that municipal coverage, and Ian Keel, who gathered footage from teachers and students across the area during that school scare period. In the meantime, I'm Roland Boyden saying, morning, everybody.
We're going to give each candidate 3 minutes maximum to make a direct statement. When we get to 10 seconds, I will ring my little bell. Just so not to let you know that it's 10 seconds, because I didn't want my loud voice to interrupt what they were getting ready to say.